Hey everyone, thanks for joining. Hey, Sir Morris, Isaac, a few names I recognize. Romain, welcome. Nice to see everyone. Okay, guys, so we're trying something new with our office house for Bubble. This session is going to be about an hour long, and it will be an opportunity for you to ask me questions about Stripe and the Bubble implementation. I've been combing through the Stripe course that was recently released on YouTube and just pinning a few questions on the side of my browser that I think are useful to know. Granted, this is quite an in-depth topic. Can be quite challenging, especially if you are new to Bubble and new to Stripe. So congrats if you managed to get through the course. If you didn't get through the course and you got stuck somewhere, then hopefully I can help you today with those particular problems. Now, before I share my screen, what do we find? So I have some help with the stream. Ask questions that you have at any time. Any question you like. Those questions will then be starred by members of my team, and I'll be able to look through those starred questions and answer when I feel it's the right time to do so. And I can see that the team have just posted the link to the Stripe course in case you haven't done the Stripe course or seen the Stripe course yet. The course is in 4 parts, and it actually goes through implementing a Stripe connection with Bubble using the API connector. And that's going to bring us onto the first question, basically, which is one that a few people have asked. And that is, what made me demonstrate the Bubble API connector instead of the official Stripe API plugin? And the short answer is that I feel that payments is really, really important. So aside from building your app, you have to monetize your app, right? So people can often, we have seen data that shows people can struggle to monetize their app. And there are a few reasons for this. One is marketing, of course, things developers we don't like doing, but we need to do. But the other is also finding an appropriate SaaS setup or one-off payments, however you want to frame the way that you're charging for your customers. So I feel that payments is super, super important. And I wanted to take the harder route of using the API connector because it gives you full access to the Stripe payment suite. And you have some experience with Stripe now, and you've seen that it is very, very powerful. I'm going to share my screen in a bit because I just wanted to show you the Bubble plugin as well. And by the way, Bubble is working on a brand new plugin for Stripe for 2025 that is going to have more calls. They're going to fix any sort of outstanding bugs and architect it slightly more differently to how it is. Because I felt when designing this course that the Stripe plugin, yes, it's useful, but it doesn't fully explain how to actually use the Stripe product itself. So that's why I chose the API connector. So I'm just going to present my screen because I wanted to compare and see what's available in the plugin today. So let's share a window. Okay. So I'm in my test Bubble app and I've installed the Stripe plugin. Okay. You can see some keys here. You can't see all of the keys. You can't see all the key characters. And if I scroll down, we can see the listed data calls. Okay. But more useful, the actions, things that you use in a workflow. So we've got charge a user, collect credit card information. There's quite a lot of stuff here, and that's fine. And you can actually use the plugin in conjunction with the API connector. That's absolutely fine. Stripe doesn't care about the method you use to call their API. They just care about the publishable key and the secret key. That just needs to match what's in your Stripe account. And then they'll let you talk to Stripe. Okay, so you can actually run these side by side. And in previous implementations, I've actually done this. I've actually run the plugin for a few things and then the API connector for other things. But over time, I have migrated to the API connector just because of the power it enables, right? So it enables us to basically get full access to, if I just go to the documentation, full access to absolutely everything in Stripe. So I've got docs.stripe.com open /API, and we've got all the kinds of payments, product subscription, checkout, everything in billing, everything in Stripe Connect. Stripe Connect enables other people to connect their Stripe accounts or have a Stripe account created, but you manage it, right? So it's like a marketplace setup where you have a buyer and a seller, and then you take a fee. So you're kind of like the middleman or the connector. So you have the full Stripe Connect, you have fraud-based stuff, reporting, tax, crypto. You have crypto if you're into that. So that is the reason why we chose the API connector. Okay, so that answers that particular question. So now, guys, feel free. I'm just sort of combing through the questions just to see if we do have any questions. If we don't, I'm going to surface a few other things. Okay, so there is a question I'd like to answer from Last Space, and it says, I love the Stripe payment series, but not demonstrating an example for launching live was confusing. So let's tackle that. Let's talk about going from test to live. Although I was dropping hints about it in the course, my app wasn't deployed to live. I would need to take out a domain, and I'd have to have a Stripe Live account. So, but I realized it can be slightly confusing. So let's first talk about that. So what do we need? So first of all, from Stripe itself. So let's say that you're in a position to now deploy your app to live. You've tested your Stripe implementation. You are charging customers. They are on their subscription plans. They're getting charged. Webhooks are firing as well. Okay, so everything is up and running. So what you need to do is this. Now, we've been building in the test mode in Stripe, correct? Test mode. But in test mode, we have a test secret key. We have in the product catalog, which is where your plans are, we have test IDs. These are test, right? If I click on an ID, copy price ID, that is a test ID. Now, that we also need a live ID for this. We're going to talk about in a moment how to switch to live with the IDs as well. So we have the secret key, we have the price IDs. What else do we have, guys? What else do we have? If I go to developers, webhooks, well, this webhook says version test, okay? And we're still in test mode. So to switch, so the first thing we do is we switch to live mode. Okay, I'm going to come back to this because there are a few shortcuts. So I'm in live mode, and what I want to do is I want to grab my secret key. And guys, this is recorded, so you don't need to be rushing around at the moment. Just come back to this part of the live stream later. So grab our secret key, we head over to Bubble, and then in the API connector, bearer space, and I paste my live key. Okay, paste my live key. That means with the live key, when you're on your custom domain, you've deployed your app, you can now talk or communicate with live mode. So that's one of the things. I'm just going back to test mode. Let's talk about the next step. So now we're going to go to the product catalog, and we're currently in test mode, and here is a starter plan, okay? So we can see the contextual menu. When I click on these three dots here on the right-hand side, we can see an option to copy to live mode. Okay, so I can say copy to live mode, and at the bottom, we have that it's been copied across to live mode. So now I'm over in live mode, and guess what? Now we can grab our price ID for live, because we have these fields set up in our option set already. Let's go across to Bubble. Remember, we used the option sets for our plans. Now, guys, I'm in a different Bubble app to the ones I taught you because I've been testing other things. Don't worry if it doesn't look exactly like yours. But we have ID price live. So my starter plan, so all I do is paste that in. Okay, go ahead and save. So we have a live secret key, and we have a live price ID now. Now, when it came to the workflows, I'm on the pricing page right now, this pricing page, and let's just have a look at the workflow here. So we've got a checkout session, and the success URL is pointing to this URL. I did this because when you switch to live, this URL is now your domain, your custom domain. So that's useful. So this is basically, this can remain where it is, right? Because this works in test and it works in live. Now, here's where we'd make the switch. So what I normally do is, once my Stripe calls are up and running, I just go back and I just hard code the live environment, meaning that I then change this to the live key because I've done my testing. If I didn't want to do that, if I wanted to maintain my testing, well, then we could use this expression here. Isn't live version is yes, and then format it as text, and then we could split our keys here. So isn't live version is yes means, sorry, isn't live version is yes, then we'd put in our parent groups plan test key there, and our parent groups plan live key there. And that means that you can test, keep testing in your test version, or when you deploy it will also work. But if you're uncomfortable with this, everything is up and running. What I will do is just hard code it back to live. Okay, I'm just pressing the undo button here a few times. Change this back to live. Okay, nothing else we need to do here. And the last thing we need to do is on the webhooks. So what's really useful, if I go back to test mode again, and I go to developers and webhooks, check this out. So I have 4 endpoints. All of the endpoints have version test. Now, if I just switch across, all I'm doing is toggling. So I've got webhooks open. I'm going to hit this toggle. Stripe has changed to live, and it's recognizing that we have 4 endpoints to import. I just saw this before the session started. This is a brand new piece of functionality that Stripe have recently implemented, so I can import them here. Okay, choose the ones to import. I want to import these webhooks now, but I want to adapt them. So here is test. What do I want to change for live? Now, this is a brand new feature. I would have manually dropped these in afterwards. Import. There they are there. And there's nothing we need to do in Bubble on the back end, because Bubble, we've already initialized these endpoints and they will just work. Okay. Now, you're in production. The last thing I would do is I would test this as a live user. And let's say that the cheapest thing in your product catalog is $100. You don't want to spend $100, even though you're paying yourself. Stripe takes a fee. What you can do is issue yourself a coupon. Okay, and I think I have seen a few questions about coupons, and we'll get there. But you can create a coupon, and you can create a percentage off. So you could say 99% off. Create yourself a code, Greg 99, and then you can basically, on the checkout, the Stripe hosted checkout page, you can put in this coupon code, give yourself 99% off, and test that everything is working. Okay, guys, I hope that is clear. go back and watch this through again. And I realized that I do need to record another part to this course that includes these particular things. So I promise that I will get around to that. But we switch to live mode to grab the secret key. We update our product IDs, our pricing IDs, not our product IDs, our pricing IDs. Let me just go back because I want to show you the distinction. In the product catalog, we have pricing IDs here, copy price ID. That's what Stripe interacts with, a pricing ID. And the reason why it interacts with the price ID is because you can have multiple prices per product. And this actually leads on to another question that I surfaced earlier. The question, I can't remember who it is from, but thank you for asking this because it's very useful. Question was, how can I change the price of a monthly plan without affecting the currently subscribed users? For instance, the current plan is $20 per month. I want to now update the price to $30 a month just for new users. And this is how you do it, guys. You keep the starter plan, which Stripe calls a product. Okay, product. Whenever I say plan, I mean product. Because the starter product provisions certain parts and access to your app. So does the monthly plan, so does the yearly plan. So we want to keep the core, but we just want to change the price. And you can add as many prices as you want here. You can see here that there are 2 active subscribers to the monthly plan, $20 a month. And I've gone ahead, and that was back from June 27th. We can leave that. That will continue to run. Those users will continue to pay $20 a month. We can add a new price here, okay? So if you click on the plus button, you can go ahead. Recurring, flat rate, enter in your dollar amount. This one's going to be $50, and off you go. Create that price. That then generates this new row with a unique copy price ID, a unique price ID for us to copy back into Bubble. Okay, so from today, once that is inputted into our option set, we deploy it to live. From today, people will be paying $50 for the starter plan, and the legacy users will continue on the $20 a month plan. All right, guys. Don't forget to ask questions at any time, and I will pick a few. All right, so we have some start questions. One question from AJ Dev is, how might you implement a trial period and prevent abuse? Prevent abuse, trial period. Okay, well, let's talk about a trial period. AJ, if you don't mind elaborating on what you mean by prevent abuse, but I suspect what you may mean is, how do we stop a user accessing parts of the app on a trial plan? And this was also a question from one of the YouTube parts. I think it was part 2. Someone asked, how do we implement a 14-day free trial? All right, let's talk about trials for a second. Because Stripe had recently made some changes to trials. But let's start in the documentation. This is type trial. So set trial period, subscription features, add trials. Start a free trial without collecting payment details, okay? Get comfortable with the Stripe documentation. You can pretty much find your answer in the Stripe documentation. Now, we can set a trial in Stripe. Let me just tell you how. Let me tell you how it used to work. When I looked at the API this morning, there was a notice that said this method is now legacy. Okay, this method is legacy. So I suspect that they're changing the way trials work. But what happens is, instead of collecting payment details, Stripe will collect and create a customer in Stripe, you set the trial period for as long as you want. Let's say it's 14 days. You also set the period, or you set the days from the end of the trial period when you want someone to enter the card details. So I think what Stripe have done is they've lowered the friction by saying, all right, let's register a new person in Stripe that wants a free trial. And Stripe then manages the life cycle of the trial, meaning that they will send a user an email to say, you're approaching the end of your trial. Add your card details to continue on the trial. Okay. If they don't add their card details, then we can fire a webhook to talk to Bubble to then downgrade someone in Bubble. Because, we're giving them a free trial, so we're creating a subscription, setting active to yes, so that they can use the software. Now, my recommendation is don't use Stripe for free trials. It's quite confusing, and there's a bit of development work needed there. It's possible, but it's a little bit confusing. I would say use Bubble for a free trial. And I've just written down a bit of logic here. So if we think about what a free trial is exactly, what is a free trial? So a free trial is being able to test a SaaS product, usually fully, without paying for it. That's a free trial, is it not? So let's just think a second. So what do we need to build in Bubble? Because I'm going to recommend that we use Bubble logic to handle the free trial. Forget about Stripe to handle this. It's complicated, it's convoluted, and I can see that certain things are changing to legacy. So my recommendation is this. How do we provision access to the software? Let's jump into Bubble. So I'm on backend workflows. We've got the checkout session, remember? The checkout session. This fires when a successful payment is made and a subscription is set up. Let's see what it's doing. It's creating a subscription. And it's associating a user with the subscription and setting the active to yes. Those are the two important things. A subscription thing has active yes, and it has a user. Okay. Then we're making changes to the user. We then associating a subscription with the user. In other words, we can access current user subscription with a filter to make sure active is yes. That's how we provision access to the software. So why don't you just do that when it comes to a free trial? Allow a user to sign up for a free trial by running an action, clicking a button. Okay. What I would do is then create a subscription and associate it with the user. You can just do it in the front end. That's absolutely fine. Step 1, create a subscription. Active is yes. Add the user, the current user. Step 2, make changes to current user. Add the subscription. This means they have access to the software. At the same time, though, what we can do is schedule an API workflow. This API workflow is going to run at current date and time plus days 14. Now, I haven't created the API workflow, but we're just going to talk through the logic. Because at 14 days, I can run an API workflow that changes that user subscription active to no, if they don't make a payment in Stripe. So if they don't make a payment in Stripe, active is going to change to no. That means that they now are just a user that doesn't have access to the software anymore. And of course, what you could also do is you could schedule one for 7 days. That one at 7 days sends them an email to say, your trial is going to expire. Please make sure to sign up for a subscription. Give them a link to the pricing page. And from the pricing page, you can run this workflow and they can use the actual checkout session, the original route, to then sign up for a subscription. The only thing you'll need to do is you'll just need to check if they already have a subscription associated with them. Okay, so it would be something like current users logged in and current user subscription is empty. So you'd want to make sure that they don't have a subscription, or you delete the subscription first, but that's some logic for you guys to figure out. So that's the only caveat, is that you want to delete their subscription at some point. It could even be done in the backend. It could even be done in the backend, because actually just thinking about it, the payment might fail. Or we might just delete their subscription, the payment fails, they come back, and then so I would suggest that you add a conditional step here to potentially delete an existing subscription if they have one. Okay, so I know that that's a bit of a mouthful. There's so many ways to run subscriptions, but I'd say use Bubble logic. Provision the subscription in Bubble, and then when it comes to really taking out of the subscription, putting in card details, then we just take in the standard route. Okay. So I hope that answers the questions. Let's just have a quick see on live. Okay, so there's another question here. It's a very good question, and it hasn't been started yet by the team, but hopefully they can surface it. And it's by Manny. Manny, good to see you. Manny, I've known Manny for a long time. Very, very smart bubbler. I suspect he's just asking this question just to participate. But Manny says, how come you didn't use pricing tables? Because I have used pricing tables in some of the courses that I've taught previously, and I really like pricing tables. Now, the big problem with pricing tables is, and what are pricing tables? So pricing tables are basically Stripe's version of this. So in Stripe, you can create a pricing table, and you can add features. And then you can use a HTML element on Bubble, throw in some code, and now you've got an element that's managed by Stripe, and you don't manage any of this logic. And pricing tables are great, but they have a big problem. They have a big problem in that it's one-way communication for security purposes, meaning that you can click on a Get Started button once you're signed up for a subscription. You cannot conditionally change that button to say that a user is on this plan. Remember in the course where we change the button here to say, hey, you are actually currently subscribed to the starter plan, and you can lock the button, you can change it. There's no two-way communication with Stripe on pricing table. It's one-way communication. So it'd be kind of confusing for a user to land back on the pricing page and then try click the button, potentially take out a second subscription. So that's the reason. But do check out pricing plan. Do check out the tables, because hopefully in the future we'll be able to get the two-way communication for us to let Stripe know that this is the current user and that they have taken out the starter plan, and then conditionally change stuff on the pricing page. All right, guys. I'm just going to quickly look through the start. Okay, so Phil says, I have 2 audiences that use my app. The subscription mode works well for one of the audiences, but I also sell digital products to another audience that doesn't require subscription. Great question. So what Phil is talking about is one-off products. Okay, one-off products. And that's pretty simple. That's pretty simple. So if we looked at the plugin, the Stripe plugin, we have charge the current user. Okay, charge the current user. And that will work, but Stripe have made some changes recently. Let's have a quick look at the documentation. Okay, so docs.stripe.com/API. Last time I mentioned that. I'm scrolling down and I'm looking for charges. And we can see that the charge object represents a single attempt to move money into your Stripe account to get paid, basically. Now, if I click on create a charge, deprecated. All right. This is part of the reason why Bubble are currently working on a new Stripe plugin, because things are changing fairly rapidly. So Stripe recommends to use, this method is no longer recommended, use the payment intents API. Let's check it out. So payment intents, a user's intent to make a payment. That's the way to think about it, because there is various in the background, not that important to know, but obviously Stripe is doing multiple things to collect a payment. Okay, so they talk about going through the process of collecting a payment from your customer. Let's just say this is a one-off charge. Same thing, one-off payments, the payment intent. Let's have a look at how to create a payment intent. And this is what we'll need to set up in our API connector as a new call. Okay, so we've got parameters. What's required? We've got the amount. Easy. Currency. Easy. That's it. That's all we need. Okay. Obviously, we need to figure out logic for how to provision access to digital products. But in terms of setting up this call, very simple. Here is the curl command, data here. All right. And you just follow the same process as we did for the subscription. Create a new call it one-off payments if you like, or call it payment intents. And the logic is the amount and the currency. So Phil, in your product, I keep looking to my iPad here, so excuse me. Phil, in your product, customers are buying digital products. I'm guessing you have a page that represents a product, or you have a repeating group, or you have a search. Whatever that is, there will be a row in the database for each of those products in Bubble. That will come with an amount and the currency, and the title. It might have an image. And that's all you need to do to set up this call. Okay, very, very basic. We'll go through. We add another API call. We call this one-off payments. We run it as an action. It's a post call, right? Because we're sending data. We grab this URL. And then we add in our parameters. All right, whatever it says here. Same as the course. Oh, where is it? Sorry, guys, jumping around a little bit. We've got amount and we've got currency. Amount, currency, USD. Don't forget that you need to Stripe works in cents. So 2,000 cents is 20 bucks. Okay. We would use query string for both. We would keep USD private unless you are dynamically changing the pricing. Maybe you are. But this would be unchecked private because this is going to be dynamically fed. And you take it from there, guys. The same process as I taught you. Okay. Okay, so AJ, you're getting a good amount of airtime here, but guys, I'm going to try to work through all of these. Okay, we've still got 25 minutes, lots of time. AJ asks, how do you make the coupon input appear at checkout page? Great question. And I do this all the time when I'm working on my other business, where I run 50% sales sometimes, or I create individual codes for customers, because my customers come from all parts of the world, and I realize that some of the things I sell are quite expensive in some countries. So I'm often issuing coupon codes for those particular countries. Let's first create a coupon code. So we head back to our Stripe dashboard. All right. And let's just type coupon. Product catalog. So here are the products, and across this top navigation, we have coupons. All right, create a test coupon. And many options here. Let's talk through them. So first, the name. So this is going to appear on the customer's receipts and invoices. So let's say it's a 50% discount. So let's say bubble 50. Anything you like, just make it descriptive. So when a customer is invoiced or later on when they're looking at their banking receipts, they know exactly what they're paid for, okay? Make sure they don't reverse charge you. So this is my process, bubble 50. You can choose between a fixed amount discount and a percentage. I usually choose a percentage, 50%. We can apply this to specific products, all right? So I can say, I want users to have 50% off on a growth plan. We can run a marketing campaign to say, guys, for the next 7 days, you get 50% off the growth plan. Off you go. People and guys, the time I've been an entrepreneur, it's been about 7 years now. And granted, I was more of an entrepreneur in the first 5-6 years, more of an instructor now. But in terms of psychology, sales work. They have immense power. It's why you find you buy courses on Udemy even when you don't really want the courses. Udemy run permanent sales. It seems to be permanent to me. They offer huge discounts, and the psychology behind the discount really, really works. So think about this when you are running your SaaS, when you're looking at implementing some SaaS strategies. If you're struggling with sales, definitely think about running some of these coupon offers. Okay, duration. We can say set it to be used once, set it to be used forever. We can limit the date range. So redeem by, I'm going to say 31st of August. It's only going to work until then. Now, the coupon code you send out in your marketing campaign, or you send out over email or on a tweet, is down here. So use customer-facing coupon codes. I tend to use all caps. I don't know why. I think it's more exciting. And that's what I do. Okay. You can add an expiry date. Let me have a look at this. Sorry, forever. This is actually not something I use. One of invoices accept both once and forever coupons. So what I use, I actually use here, add an expiry date here on these customer-facing coupon codes. This is where I expire the date. But I'll let you look through these other options. Now we've created the coupon code, and that is 50% off at any time on the monthly plan. And the code you supply is this one here, bubble 50, okay, in all caps. Now, once that's done, at checkout, in the left-hand panel, you will see apply a coupon code. That option will appear. That's where they put in the 50. They click to confirm the coupon code. Stripe handles the logic to check if the coupon code exists. And then they will apply that discount live for them to see. Okay. One thing I also wanted to quickly check is let me just firstly check out the growth plan. I just wanted to see if there was one more step. Edit price. I seem to think that there was a checkbox somewhere to say allow coupon codes. I think that's all we need to do. Yeah, but anyway, you can double check. You can test to see that should work. I have it running in some of my products at the moment. Yeah, I think that the allow coupon code, I think that checkout will only display the coupon code field if it is attached to the plan that they're trying to purchase. So it won't show up on the starter or yearly, it'll only show up on the growth. That's how it works. Okay. Right, let's look at some other questions. Luca asks, and I suspect this is the bubble plugin, why do the charge a current user and charge a saved credit card user options not have the same features, such as adding? Luca, I'm going to have to think about that one. I'm not sure because I don't actually use the Stripe plugin anymore. Charge a user. I suspect charge saved. I'm not sure. I need to have a look at that. Sorry about that. And Luca, for your second question about adding multiple line options for charging users, I'm going to save that and speak to, I have direct access to the Bubble team working on the new Stripe plugin. I've been feeding back and we are talking about potential future features for 2025. So yes, more than one line item will be fantastic. So thank you for mentioning that. Okay, so this is a good one by Goya Roberts. If your SaaS app uses a seat model, how would you manage the number of seats available in your app? Would you manage it in Stripe or in Bubble? Okay, let's talk about per seat. Per seat, okay. So in this course, we kept it, the course was already intermediate level. I didn't want to get overly complicated with flat rates versus tiered pricing, but we can do a lot, guys. We can do a lot. Let me go to the starter plan. And I've added a plan here. I'm just going to actually delete this. Can't delete it. Okay, I'm going to add a new plan. Sorry, I'm going to add a new price to the starter plan. Now, this particular price is going to have a different pricing model. Check this out. So we can do flat rate, $20 a month. That's currently what we've been offering. We'll keep it at that. We can do package pricing. So you can sell to your customers, and there's at a company, if a company wants to subscribe to your SaaS product, and then they want 10 seats, the company still has to sign up. The first person or the manager has to sign up and go through the Stripe host page. They have to sign up to subscription. They have to manage the subscription. So if you're setting up a B2B app, a B2B app, the business to business SaaS app, you're always going to need a point of contact. You need to identify who is the lead user, who's the manager of this, because they need to input card details. They need to upgrade, downgrade. They have to be the point of contact. So you can sell a bundle to this particular person, okay? A group of units, bundle, pricing package. There's also tiered pricing, okay? So tiered pricing says it allows us to charge $20 for a package of 10, $15 for a package of 20, $10 for a package of 30 seats. Great. And then we've got usage-based pricing. Slightly more complicated, but this is actually where Stripe have hidden the per unit pricing option here. Okay, so if we choose usage-based pricing, we can say per unit, and per unit is $20. Now, if we go across to the right-hand side and I change this to 2 units, you can see that this is going to be charging $40. Okay, 10, $200. Okay, so that now gives them 10 seats. All very well. We're making money here, folks. We're making money. But now, how does this work in Bubble? And I think that's the question that I'm trying to answer here by Goya Roberts. So we set this up in Stripe, but we need to figure out logic for the lead person at the company to insert the number of seats that they want. So what we would do in Bubble is we would have another option here. Okay, we'd have another option. Maybe it's a per seat option, or it's custom, or we want them to email us. We set this up for them, and then we send them a pricing link individually, however you want to do it. But if you want this to be automated, I would set up another option here outside of the repeating group. Maybe it's above the repeating group, below the repeating group. I wouldn't use a repeating group here just because the repeating group is set up in a particular way that works for these particular plans, right? And we're trying to do per seat here. But basically, we would need an input. And that input could be a drop down where a user can select 1 to 10, 1 to 100, or it can be, you can have, what I like to build is a little state feature. So you add units, as many as you want, you subtract units, and then you save it to a numerical state. That could be quite fun. And then all you do is, when you click the button to create a checkout session, this checkout session, it also requires the number. How many units? That's very important. How many units? Obviously, it requires the price ID as well. So if I create this now, it says a meter is required for usage-based billing. I'm not 100% certain how this new metering works. What I'll just do is check use usage records, sum of usage values. It's not actually something that you'll use. It looks like it's required though. Okay, so just create price. Now we can copy the price ID. And with that, we would feed that price ID here. Okay, and it would be in a different workflow, guys, because this workflow is for the current flat rate products that we've created. We would create another workflow specific for this one, but you'd also create a checkout session. Now, checkout session requires the number of units, and there's no option to insert the number of units here. So we'd have to go back to our plugins and would have to create a second checkout session. So I would change this checkout session to flat rate. And then I would create another checkout session that is per unit, because a per unit checkout session requires a few other key value pairs here. We would actually have to delete this one, and it would have to add other ones for number of units, and also I think the mode is the same. There are a few other things here. Let's just have a look. If I type in per unit, let's have a look, see, guys. Always go back to the documentation. This is where you find all the good stuff. Per unit, usage-based pricing. Creating a pricing model. It is buried somewhere. I definitely saw this earlier, and I'm glad the question was asked. I'm going to have to dig around for this. But basically, what we would have to look for is in the API, we'd have to look for what's required. And I know what's required. What's required is number of units and just another field to say that this is this particular type of pricing, okay? The price ID deals with most of it, but somewhere we have to definitely mention that it is a usage-based per unit. Sorry, I couldn't answer the whole question, but I think I got through most of it. Okay, so you set up usage-based pricing per unit, the per unit pricing, and then we grab the price ID. Here it is here, price ID. We save that price ID to a new one here saying per unit. Actually, we wouldn't do it there, guys, because that's going to show up in the repeating group. So we say plan per unit. This was for the starter plan, wasn't it? Starter, and then we need the price ID live. That's going to be text. There's my price ID. Obviously, that's the test one, but let's just pretend it's the live one. And the last thing we need to do is just set up another checkout session that deals with per unit and not flat rate. Most of this will be the same, okay? The success URL, I think mode remains subscription. We do need to remove this line here because now we're setting the quantity dynamically. This is checked to private, it's not going to work. But most of this other stuff stays the same. Obviously, this is going to be dynamic. Customer email, we need all the other stuff. So I think it's removing the quantity and then adding two more. One is per unit pricing, and the other one is there's some other metadata we need here. I'm sure ChatGPT could answer that more eloquently. All right, guys, we've got 5 minutes. Really enjoying this, but let me just see if I can answer some quick fire questions here. Okay, so this is a good one. For a plan with 2 frequencies, because at the moment it's very popular to have a little toggle that says monthly or yearly, and then the yearly one is basically cheaper. So the question is around this. Plan with 2 frequencies, would you recommend letting the users choose a frequency in the Stripe checkout session and add upsells or directly in Bubble? I think they do it in Bubble because Bubble comes before Stripe. So if you're trying to sell something, you want to surface that on page load on the pricing page. So what you could have is in this card, a little toggle that changes between monthly and yearly, and then they can see the savings they're making. And then you can add the savings they're making. Okay, now that does require more price IDs, guys. So you always go back to the price ID. So it's still the starter plan. So starter plan can have, we've got 3 per month. We can set up another one. We can set up one, it's a flat rate. And so if it's 20 per month, let's say it's 200 per year. Billing period is yearly. I'm going to save that. So now I've got a yearly. You can ignore these 2, and I've got a monthly. And the yearly comes with its own price ID. We get that back into the option set. Get that back into the option set. And basically what we need to do here is identify and add more attributes here. ID, price, test, yearly. That is text. And here's the yearly price. After that, Stripe handles the rest. They've identified that someone wants to pay per year. Stripe will take the yearly payment. Everything else stays the same in terms of the recurring. Guys, make sure if you're charging per year, let the customers know before you charge them for the next annual plan. That's a mistake I've made. People do not like it. You need to let them know, even on the monthly, let them know that you're going to, payment is coming up. Okay, that's the right thing to do. All right, guys, that is it. We've got 3 minutes left. Just want to see if there's anything else. So we've covered coupons, we've covered free trials, handle the logic for free trials and Bubble. far simpler. We've talked about multiple prices per product/plan. We've talked about how to create one-off payments using the payment intent API. Very simple. Feed it a numerical value. Feed it the currency and the user. Okay, folks, thank you so much. I really, really enjoyed that. I hope you got some value from it. Realized we went through things quite quickly, but what I would like to make time for is to do one more part to the Stripe series to show how to switch from test to live. It will require me to deploy my app by a custom domain, but let me see what I can do about that, because going through it now with you, I can see that there are quite a few moving parts. Don't forget, you switch to live, you need your new secret key. It's a live key. Put that in to the API, okay? Put that into the API here. You need live pricing IDs, and you need to copy your webhooks from test to live. You can use that button to do that for you, and then you can adjust the URL to remove version test. Nothing else you need to do in Bubble, but you do need to test it as a live user on your custom domain. All right, guys, really, really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed it. And that is it. Thank you.